young, so how were you to know? No, no.
Howdy folks, Max Mogren here, oilfreefun.com. It is September 30th, 2013, a Monday, and this is Off News. It's the government shutdown special. As we all know, tomorrow, Tuesday, October 1st, the U.S. government may potentially shut down temporarily as the bureaucrats bicker over the Obamacare scam. Government getting involved in healthcare. Hits close to home for me here in Jackson because the national parks are a huge part of our local economy, and if the government does shut down, the parks will be closed. Obviously, we're going into the off-season, so it's not a super big deal. The shutdown probably won't last very long, not more than a few days, a few weeks at the longest. But, you know, it's just a prime example of bureaucrats playing fast, hard, dangerous with the lives and livelihoods of the people. But what else is new? Let's get right into it. We got USA Today and the Jackson Hole Daily. Once again, a good 60% of the newspaper, you might as well just throw it in the recycling bin. Use it to light your fire because it's totally worthless, you know. When I look at all this paper wasted, I can't help but wonder what the world would be like if we devoted these resources to actually raising awareness instead of spreading advertising and distractions. Let's get right into the news. As always, only about 5% of the newspaper is actual news. USA Today cover page. Sorry about the motor oil on the paper here. Closing time. House, Senate locked in battle of wills over Obamacare. The American people overwhelmingly reject Obamacare. They understand it's not working. The only people who aren't listening to the argument are the career politicians in Washington. Senator Ted Cruz, Republican, Texas, said on NBC's Meet the Press. Okay, Obamacare, the whole healthcare system is a scam. There's a reason that the U.S. economy, 18% of U.S. GDP is healthcare spending. That's obscene. Keeping the economy afloat by overcharging everybody on healthcare, and the government just wants its cut. They want to get paid. They want to control it. Top arms seller, percentage of global weapons exports. USA, we're number one, 30%. Okay? And despite the fact that selling, being the world's largest arm dealer is pretty extreme and pretty offensive, Twitter, thugs at work in plain sight. Political extremists, criminals, and gang members are advertising their wares, flaunting their exports, and recruiting new members in 140 characters or less, according to police, criminologists, and security experts. Okay, I think it's pretty politically extreme to be the world's largest arms dealer. I think it's politically extreme to have over 1,000 military bases and to have operatives active in 120 countries. Let's talk about, and talking about criminal activity, blowing people up with drones is criminal activity. Gangs, the U.S. military around the world, terrorizing and killing people and strong-arming the political process, that is extremism, criminal gang behavior. Okay? So it's funny how, the rest of the world knows that it's not right to go around blowing people up to get your way. And hopefully most Americans realize that too. What do we got? More on Twitter. It's kind of funny. USA Today throws a little bone out there to their typical readership. Prostitutes use Twitter to attract new customers or post their locations, daily specials, and rates. The way lunch trucks let customers know where to find them. He says they use hashtags such as hashtag Vegas, hashtag escort, hashtag services, and hashtag callgirl. So you USA Today readers, get on Twitter. You can find yourself a prostitute thanks to the info USA Today is giving you. Mice leaks holes. 40% of metro homes have some hazards. Harmed by the nation's foreclosure crisis and economic downturn, 35 million metro homes pose potential risks, up from 30 million 35%, in a similar report 4 years ago, according to the National Center for Healthy Housing, a nonprofit research group. Blah, blah, blah. The National Healthy Housing Standard. Others can adopt it as a code for property maintenance. She says the Department of Housing and Urban Development properties have codes and are often in better condition than similar non-HUD housing. Okay? More government control of everyday life, housing. Okay? If you look back in the history of the U.S., the intentional communities, you could call them hippie communes, were shut down based on public health standards. They said it's not healthy, it's not safe for people to be living in teepees, for people to band together and have a little farm and go off the grid and actually start your own little community and set up an affordable lifestyle for yourself. So it's interesting to see what happens here. They foreclosed all these homes. The reason most of these homes are in ill repair is because people can't afford to repair them, because people are living paycheck to paycheck, or because they are in fact bank owned, meaning they've defaulted back to the criminal banking cartel. Okay? 66 questions about the government shutdown. It's kind of funny, a lot of, the national parks are going to be closed because it is a felony to spend taxpayer money without appropriation from Congress. Since 1977, 17 government shutdowns. Don't worry, Obama will still get paid during the shutdown, and active duty military are to report as scheduled, but if the shutdown lasts more than a few weeks, the military is not going to get paid. But don't worry, Obama will, as will Congress. What does it say? The 27th Amendment of the Constitution, ratified in 1992, holds that no law varying the compensation for the services of the senators and representatives shall take effect until the election of representatives shall be intervened. Intended to prevent Congress from voting itself a pay raise, it also prohibits a pay cut. So Congress is still going to get paid. Obama's still going to get paid. Military, you might get paid, but you got to get your ass to work. Interesting, will civilian defense workers be furloughed? About half of them, or about 400,000, will be sent home according to Defense Department's contingency plan. Okay, we have 800,000 civilian defense workers. That's like NSA guys. That's like 1/3% of the U.S. population spying on us. It's ridiculous. So half of them get some time off when the government shuts down. Opinion, just, Washington Navy shooting, more of that. I'm not even going to touch it. I don't care about the latest, greatest false flag. This article is just making fun of the American public. I think that the American public would be more informed if they weren't continually lied to. That's my opinion. People are disenfranchised, jaded on the political process because they've been stripped of all their power. Why would people want to take part in a system that threw them overboard? Okay? What else do we got? In the opinion section, this is pretty good. If you watched my episode last week, USA Today did a huge witch hunt article on the nutritional supplement industry, and I think this is pretty good. Why has USA Today joined the witch hunt against natural supplements? Your article, Pain Pills, Math, Deadly Whodunit, is not the first such article I have read. While there is a need to find those who are harming people, what about the pharmaceutical companies? Drug overdose deaths, mostly from legal pharmaceuticals, supposedly vetted by the FDA, have surpassed auto accidents as a cause of accidental death in this country. There is more of a need to revamp the FDA and to rein in the pharmaceutical companies. Okay? Carolyn Carr, Newport, California. Absolutely right. Great comment, Carolyn. Thanks for posting that, USA Today. Money section. Will fiscal fight slam stocks? Long story short, if a shutdown occurs, stocks will see a temporary setback. However, a default and adverse credit event for the U.S. would be immeasurably more destructive, he warns. Okay, debt ceiling. Mid-October, they're going to have to raise the debt ceiling again. Who does the U.S. government owe all this debt to? The central banksters. What do the central banksters do? They get to collect interest on the debt. That's all they do. Interestingly, not surprisingly, analysts' quarter 3 earnings are out. It's the end of the quarter. October 1, quarter 4 starts, I believe. Analysts' latest estimates point to earnings growth of 3.2% for the S&P 500, led by the financial sector with 9.3% growth, says FactSet. Okay, I looked it up online. That's 9.3% for quarter 3 over last year. So I read that as compared to quarter 3 of last year, the financial industry is making 9.3% more profits. Perhaps that has something to do with the $85 billion a month that the central banking cartel is printing into existence and lending out at interest. Just a hunch. Bank fees up again for 15th year in a row. Bank fees rose for the 15th straight year, with fees for overdrafts and out-of-network ATM usage hitting record highs, according to Bankrate.com. The average overdraft charge rose 3% to a record $32.20. The average cost of using another bank's ATM rose 2% to $4.13, also a record. Okay? Banks just ripping you off every way possible. Interestingly, we had that Twitter piece. It was kind of a hit piece on Twitter. On the cover, they're bashing Twitter again. I don't think they want Twitter's IPO to go well. Just a hunch. Twitter, a favorite of the activist community online. Bunch of hoo-ha in here, a lot of advertising. This is cool. California mayor wages wars on foreclosures. So the town of Richmond, a suburb of San Francisco, a Bay Area city, is trying to use eminent domain to seize mortgages. Okay? Basically, there's been a wave of foreclosures, as we know, across the country. A lot of people had their houses stolen by the banksters. And the housing market was inflated artificially collapsed. This mayor, Gail McLaughlin, is trying to fight back, trying to use loopholes in the system to buy up these mortgages under eminent domain to get them at a discount and to get people back in their homes. People were tricked. They were sold these bad loans. This is a question for me of a community being victimized, says McLaughlin, 61. Banks, government regulators, mortgage bankers, realtors, investors, and land title companies say the plan is unconstitutional, will shortchange investors who own the mortgages and threaten mortgage lending and property rights. If investors get ripped off today, why would they put capital to work tomorrow? Says Tom the Douche Deutsch, director of the American Securitization Forum, okay, whose members include issuers and investors in mortgage-backed securities. If any city does it, it'll set a precedent nationwide, he says. Okay, they're going after this mayor hard because she's trying to do the right thing to improve the health of her community, to improve the well-being of her people. So kudos to Richmond and the mayor there. Let's hope it goes well. This is a great article. One of the editors at USA Today, no advertising, whose fault is it? Ads are like the weather. They affect you mightily and you worry about them greatly. And if called upon, you try to dress appropriately to sell them, but you have no control over them. And not much knowledge about why the day is sunny or dark. And it is only nowadays dark. Okay, this is the editor of USA Today bitching about needing more advertising revenue. The no fault position, most recently pleaded by Newsweek's former editor Tina Brown, defending herself in that debacle, is that the entire industry is challenged, that it is on the wrong side of history, that in effect print or even words themselves no longer have a commercial value. That is Newsweek, Tina Brown's opinion on why the print media is failing. Okay? Blah, blah, blah. The deal with the okay, so TV came along and competed with the media, the print media. Then the internet came along. To deal with the algebraic leap in advertising options, new automated tools grew up that not only make the buying decisions, but in effect auction off predefined audiences at an ever-declining cost. There are exceptions. The fashion category has held up better than most, in part because the fashion business is dependent on the fashion press for favorable coverage. The relationship remains symbiotic, or a form of a modern protection racket. Okay? It could be that no one really believes such a focused, open, literate audience exists anymore, or anyway, that it has anybody other than the elderly in it. Editors, alas, are making a dull product that just doesn't move the quick, cool, and young. I'm going to link to this. It's a good article. Get you thinking about advertising and the media, the role the print media plays in the world. Okay? You know, a guy like me, I don't make any money off of the work that I do, the media work I do. And it's because the system is set up in such a way that you can't get paid for telling the truth. It's been that way throughout history. You know, no one's going to put an advertisement in my videos or on my blog because I'm fundamentally opposed to the existing status quo, the corporate, capitalist, bankster-controlled, politically bought-out system that we exist within now. So, you know, USA Today, print media, here's a tip to you. Why don't you try telling the truth? Maybe your readers will appreciate it, and people will actually start paying attention to you again if you tell them the truth and put in interesting content instead of just regurgitating the same old lies. Moving on, local news. Jackson Hole Daily. Electricity costs to rise. Lower Valley Energy will increase rates 3 to 4%. Customers are also seeing a boost in their facility charge, the payment all customers make even if they use no electricity. The monthly facility charge is rising from $15 to $16 per month for each customer. I didn't know we just paid $16 a month to the electric grid for doing absolutely nothing. Electricity isn't ever going to come cheaper, Webb of Lower Valley Energy said. But he said Lower Valley customers are in a good position compared to most of the country. Okay, there's a meeting tonight. I might go to it to ask Lower Valley's CEO about all the smart meters. You know, I've got one on my wall in my house right here. I've got it shielded, but I sure don't like having it there. And the whole electrical grid, the smart grid, big scam. So, you know, electrical company, I think it's good to push back at them. And, you know, if you are concerned about the smart meters, you're concerned about every dwelling in your town having a goddamn cell phone antenna strapped onto it, make your voice heard. Give them a call. Ask them why. Ask them who paid for them. Ask them what they're doing with the money they're saving by laying off all of their meter readers. Okay? Russian court sends 8 more activists to prison. What kind of activists? Greenpeace activists. Okay? Greenpeace is a joke. Go try to find out Greenpeace's stance on geoengineering, on weather warfare. They don't touch it. They don't touch the issue. They don't have a stance on the issue. So how can you be an environmentalist and overlook the fact that planes are spraying chemicals that are manipulating our weather and poisoning our planet on a daily basis globally? Amid escalating threats from North Korea, U.S. and South Korean defense officials will meet over the next few days to discuss whether to extend America's wartime control over the South's armed forces. 60 years after a truce ended the Korean War. I didn't know the U.S. controlled South Korea's armed forces, so you learn something every day. Suicide bombings in Iraq, clusterfuck achieved. Bravo, military-industrial complex. Remember, the military-industrial complex thrives off of death and destruction. So, people blowing each other up is good for profits. Okay? China, free trade zone opens. Interestingly, scaling back regulations, open up 18 service industry sectors to foreign investment, including shipping, law, and engineering. Sale of video game consoles, which is banned in China, will also be allowed. And there are plans to experiment with the convertibility of China's tightly controlled currency, the yuan, on the capital account, and let market forces rather than regulators set interest rates. Okay? Deregulation of the economy, the Chinese currency. Interesting to see what happens there. The U.S. dollar is losing its status as the world's reserve currency. The petrodollar system is falling apart despite the fact that the U.S. has 1,000 military bases and is active in 120 countries. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. BP oil spill, okay? If you're not familiar with that, it's still a problem. They sprayed a bunch of Corexit in the Gulf of Mexico. I personally don't eat seafood from the Gulf, and I think that you shouldn't either. That's just my opinion. Solar-powered pumps aid ranchers' livestock. This is pretty cool. Powell has a better solar resource for photovoltaics than Miami, he said. It's by virtue of altitude, lack of cloud cover, and even on cold days, we get sun. Like anything electronic, these actually work better when they're cold, Geiger said. When you heat them up, it increases resistance. So they're talking about using solar-powered pumps to pump water in these remote fields where livestock's out there. It's pretty cool. It's funny how solar is affordable for remote applications like that, yet we can't get the support to make it effective, cost-effective for people in their homes. And it's sad because solar panels are literally just made out of aluminum, glass, and silicone. Cheap materials. Very, very cheap materials. Very easy to rig up. So there's really no reason why solar shouldn't be in use. I just read a book called Off Grid. It's funny, of all the power generated by the central electrical grid, most of it, the majority of it, about 69% of it, is lost in the transmission lines. You get these huge lines extending hundreds of miles, and the power dissipates as it's traveling. So, if the government, if our civilization is so concerned about climate change, fossil fuel use, why don't we get serious about renewable energy, permanent energy sources like the sun, and suppressed energy technologies? It's widely agreed upon that the technology exists to make cars get 70, 80, 90 miles to the gallon. Why don't we do that? Less known about, the water-powered car, hydrogen fuel cells, geomagnetic energy, ionospheric energy, cold fusion. There are so many technologies out there that are being withheld from the people, and it is my intention to help bring these to the limelight. Moving on. Shutdown. More about the shutdown. Assad, the regime will comply with the UN resolution. Here's what Assad says. Of course we will comply. This is our history to comply with every treaty we sign, Assad said. According to every chapter in the agreement, we don't have any reservation. And then Iran, US-Iran negotiations on the table. So, kind of a short video today. There really isn't that much news out there. Like I said, the newspapers are 95% fluff or advertising. It's just sad. And it's sad that the print media is losing their revenue stream. And it's sad that the editor-in-chief of USA Today is out there basically begging for money in his paper today. Independent media, we don't need that money. We survive off of hard work, dedication. and our wits. So that's it. Off news, Monday, September 30th, 2013. Will the government shut down? I don't know, but I'm really not that worried about it. If they do limit access to the national parks, I'll be raising a stink about it. Y'all take care. One love. Peace.
So young, so how are you to know? No, no. You're a carrier of the light inside of you. Glows green in the pitch black night, night, night. Can't tell anyone is hurting you. So hold it in, cover up, pull up your sheets, your sheets. A torpedo cruising in the ocean, and soon it's due. So I got to sit up, up, for my heart to come down, 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 down. So I got to sit up, up, for my heart to come down, 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 down. The ghoulish entities, they come floating through the walls. Ghostly enemies, they come floating through your door. And the ghoulish entities, they come floating through the wall. From the past, and there's someone right before you, like the ghost of Christmas past. I was always floating around, go with the flow without ever knowing where I wanna be. So I go into crazy situations. A loyal soldier who acts, but never asks.